Hello and welcome to C++ Weekly. I am your host, Jason Turner. I am available for code reviews and on-site training. Now, I know there's an exceedingly good chance that your company is currently encouraging you to use AI tools to write C++ code, which makes it all that much more important that you come to one of my workshops or have me out to your company for training so that your team can better recognize good or bad quality code that is being generated by your AI tools, so you know what direction to nudge them in. In this episode, I'm going to talk about one of my most favorite features of C++ 20 and how it gets better with recent versions of Clang-tidy. If you didn't notice, I have restarted CPPcast recently, and in the first episode of just me being the host, I discussed this article with Jamie Pendergast about designated initializers from Mathieu Roper, where Mathieu says, designated initializers are the best feature of C++ 20. I do not necessarily fully agree with Mathieu there. However, I do like this feature, but I'm going to talk about a pet peeve of mine. I'm going to build on Mathieu's example from his blog post to make a point. I've got this function called useValues. It takes 4 integers, and I'm using the bug-prone check from Clang-tidy, and it warns me that 4 adjacent parameters of useValues of similar type are easily swapped by mistake. Bug-prone, easily swappable parameters. Now, Mathieu makes the argument that we should be using designated initializers for this, and he creates some sort of, say, parameter type of some sort, although his are better named than this. I'm just going to use params as an example placeholder here. Now I can make this thing require a params object. Now, I'm intentionally not naming it, and I'm not going to use it. This is just going to be for the sake of calling it. And now for the sake of this example, I can actually remove the function body. The problem is I did not get the warning about easily swappable parameters unless I had a function body in place. So that's why we got here. I can do this. And now I basically have named parameters to my C++ functions, which is kind of neat, although this is a little bit aggressive in how you reformatted that. Okay, format. This works pretty well, and notice you don't even have to give the thing a name, and this is efficient. All of the parameters are initialized in place. We've got names for them. It kind of makes C++ more like Python. The problem I have with this is that there's no way to enforce this. The standard does not require us to use designated initializers. We can write our code in a way that doesn't use the designated initializers. And yeah, mixture of designated initializers and non-designated initializers, that's a good warning. Thank you from Clang-tidy. That is a C99 extension. But if I don't use any of the designated initializers, then I get code that is just as difficult to read as it was before I ever started, until we got this new feature from Clang-tidy, which is the point of this episode. Now I'm going to enable the modernize check, and assuming Clang-tidy and your tools chain is in C++ 20 or later mode, it now tells you you can use designated initializers here. Modernize, use designated initializers. This is great. Now we actually have a check, a way to enforce the use of designated initializers. And I think this is absolutely brilliant. And I think you should be doing this. So let's go ahead and play with this a little bit. Now, first, I'm going to change this to parenthesized initialization. This should not compile. Good, it doesn't compile, because this is actually going to only pass the last parameter to this params object. And, well, I guess it does. No matching. Okay, good, it doesn't compile. If I do parenthesized initialization, which is allowed as of C++ 20, empty as well. Now I don't get that modernize check anymore. You need to make sure you are doing braced initialization of these things, and then you get this use designated initializer. That's great. Now I'm going to do -fix, and I'm just going to let Clang-tidy fix this for me. And look, it did. It's brilliant. It fixed it for me. And it also moved to trailing return types, if that's the kind of modernization that you would also want. 100% go home, use this feature right now. Just go ahead and enable it in your Clang-tidy checks. Do modernize designated initializers -fix and just apply it like everywhere. And then make it a hard error, because now we can actually have named initialization of these things. Confusingly swappable parameters can be a thing of the past, potentially. And it gives us an extra layer of safety. We can read this code and know exactly what this is doing and have our tools enforce it on us. Anyhow, that is my rant on this topic. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you next week.